All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our final NG911 GIS user group meeting for this year. I don't know about everyone else, but it's been super busy around here at DASC. So excited to provide an update on a little bit about DASC and then also an NG911 for everyone. So let's talk about our agenda today. It's the same as always. We'll be providing, I'll start off with a project update, but like I said, I'll have a little bit of an announcement for DASC in there as well. Then followed up by that will be Kristen Jordan Koenig, who will be talking about a little bit more about Toolbox and kind of, you'll understand a little bit more, a change in her role coming up on the project. And then Sherry Massey will give an update on the GeoIMSAG and training related to the project. So I'm going to start things off with great news. So DASC has added 2 new staff that just started really within the last, well, 2 to 4 weeks. First, they're both going to be GIS developers working on DASC related projects. First one is Dave Groeling. He is going to be focused primarily, you see him waving, everyone can see his cameras on. He's going to be focused primarily on DASC specific projects, anything ORCA appraiser related, all of our data holdings and administration, ArcGIS Online. We're migrating the DASC website to Hub. Really, it all, anything DASC initiative related, as well as Esri licensing, and then getting more into GIS user groups and outreach and things like that as he gets more acclimated to the DASC environment. So we're excited that Dave could join us. He is going to be working remotely from Silver Spring, Maryland. So he's pretty close to DC. So that's kind of exciting. I had to look up on the map, where's Silver Spring, Maryland? So now I know a new city in the country. And other exciting news, Dave just got married. So Dave, did you want to say anything and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Eileen. Dave Groeling. So I'm coming from almost 6 years with the American Academy of Family Physicians, which is based in Leawood, Kansas. Still geographically isolated here in Silver Spring, but excited to be here and hoping to get to know all of you as we do all these meetings.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Dave. And we also added, so we added 2 total GIS developers. So we also added William Trimble, which some of you might know Will from, he's been around the state with a few different jobs. So Will is really going to be focused primarily on Next-Gen 911, assuming the responsibilities for the toolbox, all the post-processing, the aggregation of the data, the supporting the map services, this specific NG911 GIS user group, and getting more into training and outreach. Again, as he's more acclimated to our whole DASC and NG911 environment. Will actually lives in Lawrence, so he's doing a hybrid schedule where you can see right now he's in the office. So he'll be working in the office as well as some at home. And other exciting news, he also just had a little baby girl. So Will, did you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Thanks, Eileen. Yeah, I don't have too much more to add. I'm excited to go into the next year, learning more and working with more people in the organization and the groups here, and just get more acclimated and hopefully, yeah, just work together towards achieving our goals in the new year. So thanks.
Great. Well, thank you, Dave and Will. So anytime you contact DASC for whether it's NG911 support, maybe a toolbox enhancement, a data request, or update on something, you'll probably see all of us start to copy Dave and Will into the email thread. So just kind of keep that in mind, that kind of putting the face with the name. And we're just trying to get them in the loop on kind of everything, our workflows and processes and what DASC is and what we do. So we're very excited to have Dave and Will, and there'll be a little bit more on that later with Kristen's update, but I'll let her provide the update on her transition. So that's the first little bit of good news. So new staff. on to NG911 specific topics. Just a reminder, as always, the end of the quarter deadline's coming up, December 31st. Just a little bit of a heads up with that. KU is actually going to be closed. They're closing the university between Christmas and New Year's. So it'll be a very skeleton staff checking email on different things. So we would greatly appreciate it if you would get your submissions in before the 22nd or 23rd, because we are officially closed. So we'd hate for you to need a support issue or anything like that and come up and then we miss it, or delayed getting back to you because we'll be closed. So we'd appreciate those early submissions. I think actually the submissions are coming in great. We've gotten the overwhelming majority. So if you're kind of lingering, or also if you have any reason why you might not be able to submit your data by December 31st, again, just communicate that with me and Sherry Massey. So we just know that you're working on it, but there might be a delay because we do kind of keep track of that too. So we can follow up with you. Okay, so in other news, we also wanted to provide you a snapshot of the Kansas Hosted Solution System Status Map. So again, these are all the PSAPs that are on the Kansas Hosted Solution. Everyone in green has now joined the solution. So wow, it's a majority of the state. The Orange counties continue to have their own standalone PSAP. At this time, I think there's been discussion of maybe one or two of them being interested in joining the hosted solution, but they have their own solution at this time. So maybe in the future, but at this time they won't be joining the hosted system. And then of course the gray counties are the MARC region, which have their own stand-up hosted solution as well. The only I guess note on this map, which I don't really have marked, is next year Kansas State University PSAP will be joining the hosted solution. The KU University of Kansas PSAP has joined the hosted solution and is part of it. So we have a couple of, I don't know if they're called non-regulatory, non-statutory PSAPs that are joining the hosted solution as well. So K-State really is the PSAP that's on the list to join us next year. So that's kind of exciting that we're getting universities. We also have a tribal community as well as then your traditional PSAP. So obviously pretty widespread across the state there. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is the 911 imagery. As you know, we acquired new imagery in February, March of this year, and that was done through Surdex. They've been going through processing and preparing the data for QA, which is what is actually happening right now. They give us the opportunity to inspect the imagery, which many of you across the state have been helping us with. In fact, about 50 inspectors across the state, different GIS maintainers have been helping us look at this imagery, to look for any visual issues, maybe a bridge warp, a excessive cloud cover, anything that's kind of a visual catch with that. And so this map shows all the areas in blue have been completed and gray are still pending, but pretty much every area has been assigned and there's an inspector working on it. I would like to say a special thank you to Lisa Olson, Susan Schulte, and Alice Keene. The three of them inspected multiple counties. And that's really the only way we're able to do that huge area in Western Kansas. Because as you know, we like, locals to inspect their own area, but in several areas in Western Kansas, we just don't have really a GIS developer in those communities. So they were huge help in taking on not only their county, but also several surrounding counties to help us get through that. So thank you so much to them and to everyone else. Because of your help, we're making great progress. If it was just up to the DASC staff to get this done, I don't think we'd even have one block area done at this point. It's a lot of ground to cover. So we greatly appreciate all of our volunteers and inspectors. And as always, if you have any questions with the process or any issues with completing your area or anything, let me know. I believe our goal is really to wrap this up by about mid-January. So if you see any issues with that, you know, kind of loose deadline or anything like that, feel free to contact me, and we can figure out how we can accommodate you. So so with that, okay, so we're working on the QA of the imagery. And once that's done, it's like, okay, well, when are we going to get this imagery? Because I know everyone's anxious to get your hands on the imagery. So for the 2021 imagery, most likely will be available in 2022, sometime Q2. We are lucky that Surdex was able to acquire the entire state. And in doing so, that means there's a lot of data to process. So after we finish the QA, they still need to go through and look at all of the items that we flagged, maybe reprocess, and, you know, there's still a lot to do on their end. So that's just a tentative timeline that it would be sometime in the Q2 next year. Also good news, once it is made available, of course, it'll be available on the DASC website. It's public domain data, so we won't have to go through the process of requesting the data. It'll just be available for download or through an image service. I need to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure the download will again be in the USGS 24K quad in a SID format. I just need to revisit the actual delivery items from Surdex, but I'm pretty sure that's what the data downloads will be. So based on 24K USGS quads in SID format. I'm almost positive that's exactly what we're going to get. And then eventually, once we get the imagery and get it posted, it will work on creating an image service that you can use, which will also be used to replace the current image service that's used as the Kansas space map in the hosted systems call handling mapping software and Rapid Deploy's Radius Plus. So eventually, the dispatchers will also be seeing the updated imagery in their view of 911 calls every day. So excited to get them some new imagery for the background of their 911 calls. Some other relevant imagery related news is the 2018 imagery is still under licensing agreement, but it will be becoming public domain in the next few weeks. That was kind of part of our agreement with Surdex. So also excited about that. So really, once that converts over to public domain, any of the 911 imagery will all be public domain. So we won't have to go through the data request process anymore. You'll just be able to access it directly from the DASC website as an image service or download the data through kind of a download grid. So we're very excited to be done with you having to request it. We just want you to be able to get it and use it as you need it. So that's good news. So we'll keep you updated on that in the next few weeks. That will be public domain. And also, which I thought of this, I'm like, well, it's not Next Gen 911, but I know people are thinking it since she's talking about imagery. What about the 2021 USDA FSA NAPE imagery, you know, that was acquired for Kansas this year? So we've been watching the USDA website. It has not been released yet and not really given a firm timeline on when that will be available, but we're watching it. And as soon as that is available, from the USDA, we will be obtaining it and making it available on the DASC website as well, and a service and some sort of similar downloadable product. So, we haven't heard anything on that, so it probably will be after the first of the year, since I've not seen anything. Really, Brent Miller's watching that for us, but not seen any update to that. So I'm guessing it won't be till next year. Okay, so one more slide about imagery. I've got lots of imagery things to say today. As a reminder, our contract for this acquisition is through Surdex. It's a 3-year contract, and the option to do a local buy-up for your jurisdiction is still available. Just because Surdex acquired the whole state last year doesn't mean you can't discuss with them and work out a contract to get imagery acquired for your local specifications this coming year. So feel free to, I realize, ignore this. This is outdated. So Jack King is our new contact at Surdex. Tim Donzie has moved on. So please feel free to reach out to Jack King at Surdex if you're interested in how to go about obtaining some pricing or area of interest or whatever you might be interested in for the ortho imagery buy-up. This map shows previous participants who bought up everything from generally 6-inch to 3-inch resolution imagery for their local area. So it's a little bit better resolution than the 1 foot statewide. Okay, so that, believe it or not, I think is my general program updates. Feel free to always pop questions in the chat as we're talking along here. But I think now I will hand it over to Kristen to talk about her role and the toolbox update.
So, pardon my voice, getting over a cold. We don't have too much of a toolbox update this time around, just that we released a new version of the toolbox in October. So please make sure that you are using that. It's the one that's active in the portal. Nothing huge changed in it, just a few bug fixes and things like that. So Eileen introduced our new staff members, Will and Dave, and so it's kind of been in the works for a couple of years now for me to transition from DASC over to the Kansas Geological Survey and being their GIS developer. And so bringing Will and Dave on board has been the next step in that process. Currently, I'm still hybrid between DASC and the KGS, and that'll continue for a few more months as we get Will and Dave more familiar with NG911 and Orca and DASC and all those things. So still around for a while, but if you reach out to me via email or anything, I'll probably be copying Will and or Dave on the response. And so as things move forward, they'll become your primary contacts for various topics. I know it'll take a bit to get used to, who's doing what project and things like that. But we're doing a lot of cross training. So if you happen to reach out to both of them or one or the other, we'll get everything sorted out as necessary. So, I'm not saying goodbye or anything just yet, but just know that we'll be transitioning things over the next few months.
I was muted, sorry. So thank you, Kristen. Of course, we all know Kristen has done an exceptional job with toolbox development, maintenance, enhancement, user bug fixes, post-processing, getting data ready for EGDMS, all those behind the scene things. But no, she's transitioning into good hands. Dave and Will both have exceptional Python development skills, as well as very robust GIS skills. So we are in very good hands and excited to have actually more hands to be helping out with these various projects. So it's good to know Kristen she'll still be, we'll jokingly call in the building, even though we're still working remotely. So still loosely associated when she eventually rotates off. So, we can still, we can still find her and talk to her, ask questions if we want. So it's kind of a nice solution with the transitioning. So, okay, super. Thank you, Kristen. All right, now, next thing I will hand it off to Sherry Massey for the GeoMSAG and training update.
All righty. Can you go ahead and go to the next slide? Thank you. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is a change that is going to be coming for everybody's MSAGs, which isn't something that generally from a GIS perspective you have to think about a terrible lot. But we are going to be thinking about it a little bit more as we go forward. Right now, those MSAG records, that tabular data, is sitting in a database that is owned by AT&T, but is managed by the company called Intrado. And AT&T has built their own proprietary database, and they are transitioning people from that Intrado database over to their own. Their proprietary database is called the Public Safety Platform, or PSP. And we are the first GIS maintained group that they are going to transition. And so there has been a lot of work behind the scenes. We've been having meetings over the last year to discuss how the data works, how it gets translated, all that kind of thing. A whole lot of this has been very encouraging because they have the results that they get in their evaluations of our data are much more similar to the results that we get when we evaluate our data, particularly looking at things like address overlaps and how the data is set up, than we get from the work that goes on with the MSAG with Intrado. And it just has to do with the different technologies in the background, and what PSP is doing is just closer to what we do. And so things tend to line up just a little bit better. That said, this is a pretty major change. And while their system has been built with GIS data in mind, we're still very cautious on how this transition is going to work. It is going to be a gradual conversion. And we are starting with one single piece app, and we're going to mess with that one and that one is Dickinson County, which is where I'm at if you don't know me. And we're going to mess with that one until we get it right, and until we're fairly comfortable everything can go smooth, and then we'll start moving forward with the others. One of the very nice things about this platform is that they have built it, as I said, with GIS in mind, and particularly the GIS authority, which is you, is a user type within their system. So they have built it with the idea that you as the local maintainer will have access to view this data, and you will have access to review what they did with your GIS data. Now, we're still going to do probably 90% of the communication with you. But right now in the Intrado database, if there's a problem with how something processes, they tell us. And we have to look at it, figure out what's up, and then communicate with you if we need to. But in PSP, their intention is to let you know if there's an issue. And we believe there will be far fewer issues, at least that's what the testing suggests. So this isn't going to be, banging your email box really hard. Rather, it's going to be that you will be notified right up front if there's any kind of issue. Hopefully we will be able to go through and make you guys feel comfortable in the use of both the public safety platform and in the translation of your GIS data into it, so you kind of know what to expect when you look. So there'll be a whole training piece that goes along with this transition, both in how to use their system and in what you can expect from the translation of GIS data to MSAGs within their platform. You guys may remember I've talked about PSP before, and one of the things I'm pretty excited about is that it actually takes address points into account, where the existing system does not compare address points directly to telephone records. It does take the address points, but it doesn't do with them what we always hoped it would, which is to locate those telephone numbers right on the address point. And the PSP system will do that. And so there's a whole lot more to come there. Like I said, we're going to do this pretty gradually. We're going to start with the conversion of one piece out in probably January. And then work through that. I don't want to give an estimate on when we're going to move on to the next one, but because we're going to be very, very cautious. However, this is good news, and it kind of completes a circle. A lot of you have communicated with me about phone calls from telephone companies or a problem with the MSAG because something in your GIS data didn't make it in there. And far more often than not, the cause for that has been a difference in interpretation between what you meant and what Intrado saw. And I don't want to suggest that their system is broken, but they use an underlying technology that is just different from, frankly, from ArcGIS, which is what the rest of us use. And so some of the tests just don't quite line up the same. So we end up with errors on the back end that we don't necessarily know are there. And hopefully, what from everything it looks like, I don't want to promise because you guys know how that goes, but from everything it looks like, PSP will eliminate that. And that is excellent, excellent news. So if anyone is super interested in doing this transition and is interested in being county number 2, please let me know, and we'll go forward there. Otherwise, we're going to pick it a little bit out of a hat. We'll work with AT&T to pick the county, but if we have anybody that says, no, I'd really like to go through this transition and help you figure out how this is going to work and what training needs to be there and things like that, then we will push for you to be the second county or the second PSAP area. So just let us know. And next slide. And then on for training. There was a data maintainer class that was held pre-conference at CAM, and I recorded the class, and right before it, Lee and I were chit-chatting a little bit, and that was on the recording as well. And I opened it up to trim out that non-class piece before I sent it to Eileen for posting, and the video file was corrupted. I have done everything I know to do and everything I can figure out how to do to try to get it back, but it is not there. So that video is unavailable, unfortunately. That said, the Kansas 911 Coordinating Council is partnering with the Mid-America Regional Council for the use of an online learning platform. Now, the Coordinating Council had access to a platform called NeoGov, and we have had the GIS data steward class for PSAP personnel in that platform. We could not put anything for GIS personnel in there because that platform's licensing restricted access to only PSAP personnel in Kansas. On the other hand, this new platform, the Kansas NG911 Learning Center, does not restrict in that fashion. So we are able to actually put together training materials for GIS personnel and GIS maintainers across the state, and put them on that platform. Now, we still intend to do the live maintainer class. I don't want to suggest that we don't. But for those of you that either can't attend that or don't prefer to, the data maintainer class will be available through this platform sometime in 2022. And then will be updated there going forward. We're also considering this platform for a lot of other things that we have treated as sort of small training things in the past that we didn't really do classes on, just posted videos. So if there's a new tool in the toolbox, perhaps, or if there's a particular piece of the NG911 program that we just get people who have asked questions about or who want some assistance with, we may be able to put up really quick class information and say, hey, you know, if you're interested or if you're having a problem in this area, you can go here and run through the video or the questions or things like that to kind of get you through. So Will and Eileen and I took a tour of that system and sort of very, very briefly started the process of moving the data steward class in there. And we were really encouraged by the quality of the platform, the types of things that we're going to be able to do. And we're, of course, very excited that you guys will be able to access it so that it is not completely separated off for the PSAPs. We will have more information to come on that as well as the classes get in there and get going. But it has not yet been officially published to anyone yet. And my understanding is that it'll be maybe a few weeks, maybe even a month before the platform is sort of debuted to the 911 community. And we'll let you guys know at that time how you can get on board and see some of the classes. So I have a question in chat about how often we need to take classes. And our official policy within our governance is that you take the certification class and you're certified. However, the system changes, the program changes over time, and certainly the standard changes as well. So what I would say is take the class as often as you feel you need to for a refresher. It doesn't hurt to take it every time it's offered, like once a year, not every single time. But it doesn't hurt to do it once a year, because then any changes with the program, you're getting the opportunity to hear about firsthand and ask questions about. However, the actual requirement is you take it once and you are certified. So are there any other questions that anybody has before I pass it back to Eileen for this? Okay, put them in the chat if you have anything. Eileen?
Great, thank you, Sherry. I couldn't agree with Sherry more that even though taking the class once is technically the requirement, the technology and the industry and everything that keeps changing with Next Gen 911, I think at least once a year is really the standard for staying current and up to date, just kind of like a continuing education on the topic, as well as how it impacts GIS data. So yeah, as soon as that is set up, it'll be great to have that new platform, and we will be sharing links and how to get signed up for that as soon as that's available. With that, before I close things out, I wanted to, I don't know if everyone has heard, but I wanted to share with you that one of my favorite GIS data maintainers is retiring. Judy Polinsky from Saline County is going to be retiring right after the first of the year. Her last day is January 7th. So we are just a couple weeks away. So we just want to wish you the best of luck, Judy, and we'll miss you. And Judy, did you want to say anything? I don't want to put you on the spot, but we just wanted to say that we appreciate you and we will certainly miss you.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm like really a little scared. I think I'm going to be bored, but everybody says no. And I am going to do some traveling and go see my friends that I haven't seen for a long time because of COVID. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I think that sounds like wonderful plans, actually. I like that idea, absolutely. So, but you'll—
And I will be at the next CAM conference.
You will be, okay, good. That's what's
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like, you know, you're not, again, you're retiring, but you'll still be, you know, joining us here and there for different events. So we hope so. So we'd like to, we want to hear about
on
you.
it.
Live vicariously through your retirement. So
Thank you.
good. Okay, well, just wanted to tell you congratulations. You'll be missed. And of course, if there's anyone else has, you know, retirement or staff change announcements that are appropriate for this group, just let me know and we can incorporate that into these user group conversations. So best of luck, Judy. Have fun. We'll miss you. So with that, just reminding that the recording of this webinar, as well as the slides, will be made available as always on the Kansas 911 Recording Council website and the DASC website. Always contact us with any questions you have. And I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday break. And you get to enjoy some time off. Everyone deserves a break. Y'all work so hard making Next Gen 911 great. So happy holidays, happy new year, and take care. Bye-bye, everyone.